a 200 horsepower Lycoming engine. That energy would soon bleed away if maneuvers aren't flown correctly. So part of the skill of the pilot is in ensuring that he starts off high enough.
When the pilot was seeking in the
So it relies a lot on communication between the two vessels, the helicopter and the lifeboat. And the boat's pretty noisy environment to work in. Sounds like you've got all the angles covered. So now proceeding from left to right in formation once again, the helicopter slowing down, waiting for the lifeboats to get into position underneath. So have you taken part in an exercise like this yourself, Tim?
Yes, I've done quite a few of these over the years, so this is a nice calm day for it. Obviously on the fallout sometimes you see the old atmosphere is extreme light and people's welfare.
And how long have you been associated with the RALI?
I'm just coming to my 21st year.
Aeromatics and sleeping overnight in barns, which gave the whole practice the expression barnstorming. Often a pretty girl or pilot's girlfriend would then be encouraged to actually walk on the wing, and that's what they would do in those times. They would actually clamber around the aircraft, walk on top of the wing. The girls would be doing similar. They're actually standing on top of the wing there, securely attached to a 5-point swiveling wing, which they use to great effect, but they will actually be clambering around the aircraft as well. So it really is a team effort. We've got Dave Barrell too fast. Now flying in towards us in line astern, and you can see the girls are lying parallel with the wing and still waving. So do wave. And note just how closely these aircraft are flying. Well, the Stearman aircraft was manufactured by Boeing in the 1930s and designed as an Air Force trainer, where it was more powerful engine, 450 horsepower, and they've got 2 sets of ailerons. Even more responsive in roll. Now Martin moves out from the line of stern position into... They get ready to perform another set of exciting manoeuvres, diving back down, approaching 150 miles an hour. Each aircraft acting as a mirror image of the other. See just how close the girls' hands get. And in fact, they have actually passed a baton from one to the other during a display like that. That was Martin Carrington rolling upside down, now rolling back the right way up, because he says he just loves the feeling of hanging upside down. To becoming a wing walker since she was 6 years old, and her parents took her to an air show where she saw the team displaying. So who knows, there may be a wing walker of the future down there on the beach. She's on those ballet and dance lessons girls. Closing speed of over 300 miles an hour. See how close they get as they pass wingtip to wingtip in just a few feet of each other. The classics. Mark 19 was regarded by many as the pinnacle of Spitfire development. That's 2050 horsepower Griffin 65 or 66 engine. The aircraft at top speed of 446 miles an hour and a service ceiling of 42,000 feet. Here we are, showing us the top 5 view of the aircraft. Fly past there by Bill, and I hope that if there's anyone with any associations with these aircraft during the war, and we know that there are some of you here this afternoon, that this brings back some memories. The pilot is a very experienced guy, Bill Dean. He grew up and attended schools in Africa and the USA. Before moving to the UK, he studied pure maths at the London School of Economics and Political Science. He joined the Royal Navy in 1984, so he's used to flying over the sea. He flew operationally first as a search and rescue helicopter pilot. That's where Clacton Airshow Club is, where he's going to be landing after the display. So here's an opportunity for us all to get a nice close-up view of this lively little aircraft. And as he passes by in front of you, do wave your flags, your hands, your hats. And there we are, I can see he is waving back. So, Peter Davis, the air Tuccano, leading the formation, and the tutor tucked in very neatly behind the line of stern formation. So, quite similar looking, very different in construction. The tutor, being more modern, is referred to as a plastic aircraft with carbon fibre on that side there in the slide. Pulling up as if to loop the loop again, and watch as he comes over the top. He'll roll the aircraft once again for the other half of that human eight. There he is. So these are all the sorts of manoeuvres that you've been trained on if you join a university air circuit, be it flying or tutor. Now up to the vertical once again, giving us a different side view of the small turn to the left. There he goes. Kicking the rudder, the aircraft pirouettes round its own axis, flies back down towards the sea. Now pulling up for the barrel roll, the classic victory roll. Now at the end of the display line, he'll pull up into a manoeuvre known as a wing over, which is used to convert some of that speed to height and to turn the aircraft round to come. Now, very nice barrel roll once again for the rod. This aircraft was built in 1973 and used in the RAF by Yorkshire University Air Squadron based at RAF Pinningley, which interestingly enough is now the home of the Vulcan. There's a variation of that manoeuvre a little bit later on with a hesitation stall turn. So this is the aircraft that replaced the jet props, basic jet trainer in the RAF, and there are jet props now on the civilian market, owned and operated by civilian operators, because you can actually fly a jet provost on just a private pilot's license. There was a competition between the Pilatus PC-9, manufactured in Switzerland, and the Embraer Tuccano, manufactured in Brazil. The Tuccano won the competition, and these aircraft were manufactured specifically to RAF specifications, so major enhancements and differences to the original Embraer Tuccano, and manufactured in Belfast by Shorts, so the Shorts Tuccano T1. Tuccano is you may recall last year here, it was painted in a desert camouflage scheme, which I thought made it look very much like the Hulk. This year, to commemorate the centenary of the start of the First World War, it has an instant poppy display, but not as far as I can see on the aircraft Dave is using today, so that aircraft must have had a technical problem. It was worth having a look at the colour scheme on their website. One of the aircraft also has the RAF Benevolent Association on the beach, showing us a nice topside view of his aircraft. Certainly eating up the miles a lot faster than the two training aircraft we saw before. Of next year you'll no longer see again, so let's make the most of it.
Sorry.
I believe that one of the slogans associated with the club is honouring the past and inspiring the future, because the idea is it's such an amazing engineering achievement.
Yes, absolutely. It's being used to promote British engineering expertise, and indeed, as I was saying just before she arrived, we've got 2 years, or about 18 months left flying. She will come to the end of her flying life at the end of next year, and that's because Rolls-Royce won't sanction the engines past 2015, so we run out of engine life for flight. But the idea is to be maintained in a fast taxiable state and used as a sector to inspire youngsters to go into engineering. She was designed by Roy Chadwick, the same design team that designed the Lancaster, and when you think that there's only 12 years between the two aircraft, that shows.
That Delta wing also made famous, of course, by Concorde. I remember seeing somebody do some 3D graphics on TV showing that if you actually stretch the Delta wing of the Vulcan, it looks very similar to Concorde.
Yes, absolutely. The engineering director of the project has actually put a slide together in the presentation that uses.
Spiral climb there at 90% power. So you were just saying about about the presentation.
Yes, if you were to put a stake in the end of the wing and then
We talked about the auto-gyro being a star of a James Bond film. Of course, the Vulcan was as well famously in the original Thunderball movie with Sean Connery, where one of these was tragically put down in the water.
yes, and there is, if you go on a hangar tour at Robin Hood Airport, formerly known as RAF Fittingley, which is by Bates home base, there is a model there that was actually used during the filming of the James Bond film.
So how many would be in the crew in this display?
We'll have a crew of 3 today, as we normally have for a display. Wonderfully, you enjoy the sound of those in Yes, a crew of 3 today. The 2 pilots, Bill Ramsey is captain today, Kevin Rumans is co-pilot, and also on board there is an air electronics officer, which in old speak would have
How cramped everything is, and particularly the flight deck. It could almost be the flight deck of a fighter. It's you climb up to where the pilot and co-pilot sit, and there's not really much room for anything else. It's not like a flight deck. Well, there was, you see the window doors open there.
the UK's nuclear deterrent until 1959.
Yes, and in those days, the Vulcans were painted white for anti-radiation flare flash protection, and it was only once the deterrent had moved back.
No longer your safety net with surface to air missiles.
It's amazing just how manoeuvrable the aircraft is, and wonderful to see it manoeuvring, turning so tightly at such low level.
Yes, the crew will tell you that operating in service can outturn in a dogfight situation, such as even the Lightning. The latest generation of US fighters like the F-15 Eagle, the Mighty Vulcan, whereby the fighter can actually outturn the Vulcan. It is very manoeuvrable for such a large aircraft.
So we know that the aircraft will still be displaying next year, and then that really is the end, is it?
So yes, next year, as we were discussing, should be the last year of flight. The Trust keep lobbying Rolls-Royce to try and get them to allow more hours on the engines that we have on the project, but so far they're not budging, unfortunately. The engines were new in 2007. They were 0 hours by Rolls-Royce. So they've only allowed us in the order of 250 hours per engine, and we have 6 on the project. 4 in the airframe at one time and 2 spares.
But now in from the right, its final fly past. Let's all sit back and enjoy the sound of it and the sight that this presents, and give them all a big wave.
Not at all. It's actually the first time I've seen her live this year, so much looking forward to today. And again, we should see her, or personally I should see her at Little Branston on Sunday when she's doing a fly past there on our way back to Finningley from Dunsfold Wings and Wheels.
Detroit than it was to get to the Nevada.
So does that make a difference to the sound?
It certainly does. I noticed there's a major difference in the exhaust stubs coming out of the engines. Ours are a little bit wider, and it seems to make quite a bit of a difference when you hear the aircraft running up.
So what do you think about the comment that our friend from the Vulcan Sky Club mentioned when he said that we're referring to the Lancaster as a Vera because of the registration?
Well, that's sort of an unofficial nickname for the aircraft. It's officially called the Mynarski Memorial Lancaster in honor of Andrew Mynarski, a Canadian who was a BC winner. But her letters on the side of the aircraft are VRA, and some of the folks back home have taken to calling her Vera.
And actually, the story of Mynarski winning that Victoria Cross, it actually took place just less than a week after D-Day in 1944, didn't it?
Yes, it did. On the night of the 13th of June 1944, Mynarski's aircraft was attacked by a German night fighter. The rear gunner was trapped in his turret, and Andrew Mynarski tried to save his friend. In the process, he was badly burned. He managed to get out of the aircraft, but unfortunately, after landing in France, he died of his burns. His pocket, and the rest is history.
Well, we've got classic history in front of our eyes now. Let's look to the right. You can see the two Lancasters leading the Spitfire and Hurricane from the Battle of Britain Memorial flight. The Canadian Lancaster is the second one. Let's just sit back and enjoy this wonderful, unique sight and sound. Positioning of the mid-upper turret in the Canadian Lancaster, which is a little bit in a different position. Interestingly, given that the Lancaster was, of course, perhaps most made famous by the Dam Busters raid that took place in May 1943. An aircraft that is cleared for ground taxiing, and Keith, I believe that there was an attempt to get both Lancasters flying above the ground taxi version. Did that actually come off?
Yes, in fact, there are scheduled dates so far, September the 2nd and September the 7th. These aircraft, 3 Lancasters will have their engines running all at the same time.
That will be something to see and hear, as is this, as they come in from the left. Using Lancasters the same year as the last Spitfire operational flight, 1954. But the Royal Canadian Air Force went on to use them for another 10 years, and I believe that your Lancaster was used in the maritime role. Is that right, Keith?
That's right, right after the beginning of
the souvenir brochure from the tour, where this article talks about our 3 Lancasters.
That's right. The Lancaster itself, the one that we have, is an interesting Nixon aircraft. She had a landing accident in Trenton, Ontario in 1952, and the center section had to be replaced. So as a consequence, while our aircraft came off the assembly line in 45, never saw combat, the center part of it was fully trips over Germany. Flying our aircraft today, Don Sloopy,
That's quite a record.
Well, I suppose so. We get asked the question at the museum all the time, if your aircraft saw combat, we have to say yes and no.
Yes, and that's true. That's true.
We've done it. Oh, we've done it.
This is a Labrador where she overnighted. And then on the 6th, she flew the longest leg from Goose Bay into Keflavik, Iceland, where she spent an extra day. And then on the 8th of August, she completed the trip from Keflavik into Coningsby, and the whole flight time was about 20.5 hours altogether.
And all that without any in-flight movie. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in from the left, the final flight past. Let's give them all the way. There's a different view of the loop there as the formation splits to right and left to present synchronized and opposition maneuvers.